Hello my dear Armenians, these are the news from Western Armenia, especially for you. Genocide committed against Armenians refugees, a key historical and legal issue. Western Armenia's assembly to screen Genocide memorial film on April 26. Top Swiss diplomat visit the Genocide against Armenians memorial. Khnushinak memorial destruction seen as an attack on historical memory. Operation Ring, 35 years later and still no justice. Lebanon declares mourning after deadly Israeli strikes. Uncertainty in Hormuz clouds the US-Iran ceasefire. Okra with Bulgur. The genocide carried out against Armenians between 1819 to 1923 brought not only mass killings but a complete reshaping of the region's populations. Millions were operated, creating one of the first major refugee crises on the modern world. More than 90% of Armenians in Western Armenia were either killed or forcibly displaced. Before the genocide, Armenians lived in thousands of villages with active schools, churches, and community life. The massacres and the organized deportations of 1915 destroyed the entire structure. Refugee flows moved in two main directions, toward the Caucasus for safety or towards Syria and Mesopotamia on deadly marches where mortality reached up to 90%. Refugees were not an essential result, they were an intent tool of genocide. Survivors spread across the globe, forming today's Armenian diaspora. Many lost their identity, property, and even citizenship. Refugee camps, despite harsh conditions, become places of survival, rebuilding, and community revival. International organizations played an important role in helping people recover. More than a century later, the Armenian refugee issue remains a topic of historical memory and legal debate, proving that the consequences of genocide are long-lasting and the call for justice remain urgent. During the 12th session of April 8, 2026, the National Assembly of Western Armenia discussed upcoming cultural events honoring the victims of the genocide against Armenians. 13 deputies joined the meeting online. It was announced that the documentary film showing historical facts, testimonies, and archival materials about the genocide will be screened on April 26 in the Yerevan office hall. A second screening will take place on April 28 from 11:30 to 12:30. The event is open to the public and aims to honor the 2 million victims while strengthening national identity and historical memory. Assembly President Mirzneli Harutyunyan concluded the session by highlighting the importance of remembrance and education. On April 8, Ambassador Pierre-Yves Fuchs, Deputy Secretary of State of Switzerland, visited the Genocide committed against Armenians memorial, accompanied by Swiss Ambassador Andrea Barbara Baumann. They were welcomed and guided by Hracha Tashchan, Acting Director of the Genocide committed against Armenians Museum Institute. The guests laid flowers and the eternal flame and observed a moment of silence. They toured the museum's permanent and temporary exhibition with Deputy Director Lucine Abrahamian. At the end, Ambassador Fuchs signed the honorary guestbook. The destruction of the memorial in Khnushinak dedicated to victims of the Great Patriotic War and the Artsakh War is presented as a deliberate, systematic policy rather than random vandalism. It targets cultural heritage, historical memory, and the identity of people. A memorial symbolizes the sacrifice of those who fought for their homeland. Destroying it harms not only the past but the future, depriving generations of an essential part of their identity. The article also notes that international silence often discourages such actions. Khnushinak is described as a clear example of cultural genocide, where both material heritage and collective memory are erased. The 1991 Ring Kalka operation, during which residents of 24 Armenian villages in Artsakh and nearby regions were forcibly displaced, remains an unpunished crime. The operation was carried out by Soviet Azerbaijani special units with the support of Soviet internal troops, following request by President Ayaz Mutalibov and order from Mikhail Gorbachev. The deportations are viewed as a major illegal act for which no one has been held responsible. Ring is remembered as a key episode in the crimes committed against the Armenians of Artsakh. On April 9, Lebanon declared a day of national mourning after 254 civilians were killed during bombing in Beirut and other cities. The decree was issued by Prime Minister Nawaf Salam. Government officials, published organizations and municipalities were ordered to close and national flags were lowered to half-mast. Radio and television programming was adjusted accordingly. Armenak Abrahamian, president of the Republic of Western Armenia, expressed condolences to the people of Lebanon. Persian Gulf countries reacted cautiously to the two-week ceasefire between the US and Iran, worried that any agreement might give Tehran leverage over the strategically important Strait of Hormuz. The ceasefire paused over a month of heightening tensions, during which Iran nearly halted oil and gas shipments through the strait, a route that handles about 20% of global energy supplies. US President Donald Trump said Iran's proposal could be a basis for negotiations, but experts warn that Washington might accept terms that increase Iran control over the strait. Gulf states welcomed the ceasefire but stressed the need for a secure, long-term solution to keep Hormuz fully open. This dish made with okra and bulgur is a nutritious vegetarian or fasting-friendly meal prepared with onions, tomatoes or tomato paste, and spices such as paprika and cumin. It can be made with fresh or canned okra. The bulgur used is typically coarse. After sauteing onions, garlic, tomatoes and peppers, water or broth is added and the dish is cooked until the bulgur is ready. It is rich in fiber and vitamins. If you have any questions or want to learn more, you can visit our official link. Thank you for watching. See you tomorrow.